Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Matthew. I am actually a Bitrise alumni, and Bitrise is an amazing company. Taught me so much about CI/CD stuff, but I am currently working for a company called Everything But the House. And you may have heard of us because we actually have a show that aired on HGTV, which is a huge network here in the United States. I don't know if they're internationally or not, but you can actually see what we do there. And season 2 is going to be coming out hopefully next year. And basically, what EBTH does is when people pass away, they usually have a house full of belongings, and the folks that are left behind don't always know what the best way to sell those or deal with those is. So we send a team of people who clear out their house, and then we list them on our website, auction style, and we connect them with buyers that are really motivated to find unique and rare and interesting objects. And that's what we do. And we actually have a team of people that look at those objects that come through, that look at those items and give them an opportunity to give an actual assessment. So you're not just taking the seller's word for the condition. We have actual appraisers that are there that are looking at it. And we are in the process of launching our new mobile app beginning in mid-January, hopefully. So that is a little bit about me, and I will go ahead and turn it over. Yasmin, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Hi, I'm Yasmin, everyone. I'm a software engineer at Shopify. I have been working with iOS development for the past 5 years and so. And this year I joined Shopify, the e-commerce, not the music app, in the tooling team. So if you make any confusions with the name, it's okay. Let's put it out there. I work in the mobile tooling team now, so I contribute with the iOS infrastructure and our tooling for releasing apps. I've been doing more Ruby on Rails and React code than any iOS development right now, but we also use React Native for the development of mobile apps inside Shopify.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of great stuff. React Native is a great framework. That's what we are working with at EBTH. Previously, my experience was Flutter, and I also am a big fan of Flutter as well. So moving on, Luciano, tell us about yourself.
Hello, my name is Luciano. I've been working on software development for over 20 years now. I've been doing a lot of things. Right now, I'm working as a senior manager at Mercado Libre. It's like one of the biggest e-commerce in LATAM. I'm leading the model architecture team, and basically what we do is we help business development teams to maximize their performance, optimizing delivery time. And we ensure cohesive interfaces, performance, security, and stability.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we're excited to get your insight today on what's going on in the shopping industry. Moving on, Rafael, tell us about yourself.
Hello, I'm Rafael. I'm working with iOS since 2017. I work with two big e-commerces. Now I'm on for FAT. There's a big market for fashion luxury. And I'm working with a project in Brazil. They are coming from Brazil to a local store right now. And I'm working with this app on tooling for this app and with these features too.
Amazing. All right, well, let's kick this off. So just so everyone's aware, we've had a few people come in. You are welcome to ask questions at any time. Just drop them in that Q&A feature, not the chat, and we will share them with our panelists and we'll go from there. But to kind of kick things off, the world of mobile shopping has changed a lot. Especially, I think, March 2020, at least is when the pandemic really started picking up here in the States. And it changed everything. Like I still very rarely go out. I've got food and groceries and everything delivered to my door now. I think people's experiences with mobile shopping have changed a lot. And I just want to get your thoughts on like what mobile shopping looks like today and kind of the changes that you're seeing in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about how shopping is now in e-commerces. We have to think about our own experiences as well. So if I think about myself and how I handled e-commerce before, it was something that I would only go to online stores to see if I could get a good deal on a very expensive thing, like buying a TV or buying a microwave or something like that. So I would go to the e-commerce and see if I could get a nice discount. But then it changed and I started getting smaller things or games or things delivered from other countries to my house. And yeah, with the pandemic, things changed a lot. And I started getting groceries delivered to my house. I started getting food every single day delivered to my house. I started shopping from people who didn't have a store before. So when we see that change from our perspective, we can see that the e-commerce platforms and companies had to change as well. So for Shopify, we call it a headless e-commerce. So what that means is Shopify has the back end, like a layer where it creates all the usabilities that you need, all the complex things for merchants, and other people can build on top of it. So other developers can come with third-party apps and pieces of code that go on top of that and creates every single thing that you can. As a company, we cannot create every single solution that users might need, but having that base that is solid and buildable can create every single solution that they might need.
That's super cool. It's funny you mentioned like ordering smaller and smaller items. I think my record in the day that I felt like the laziest I ever have in my life was when I ordered one pencil off of Amazon.
Yes.
I actually did that. And like the pencil showed up to my house. Yes. Okay. Like, because it's like I didn't need a full pack of 50. I just needed like one pencil. And there was nothing else in that order. And it just showed up. And yeah, I felt so lazy. So I want to hear a little bit more about the platform that Shopify is building for developers to be able to build their own mobile shopping experiences. That's really interesting to me because when I know from at EBTH, there's so many things that go into building a good shopping app, things like payment, things like creating a shopping cart, things like recommending items. Tell me more about like what that platform looks like.
Yeah, we have for the web apps, we have React, and for the mobile apps, we use React Native. So with both those technologies, you can create an open space. So we have what we call partners, and the partners can come and build apps for the online store, and they can build themes or they can build changes on themes and third-party applications that you can add to your commerce. One that was really nice, when you get into Shopify, you go through a onboarding process and you create your own store. And for me, something that I wanted to add to my store was a different kind of packaging. So the person could say, oh, I want this kind of packaging for my delivery. And then you can go to this store and get a third-party application, add it directly to your admin page, and you have everything in one place. So it's not like I have to open two different pages, the Shopify page and then the third-party one for the packaging. Everything is centralized in that admin, and it looks seamlessly. So it looks very nice. It looks very one thing with different approaches. So you can have CO2 offsets in your cart or in your grocery list, but everything looks the same for everybody, works perfectly together.
That's impressive. So if I'm a Shopify customer, I can go and I can install add-ons from your partners into my experience to make that work. And then your partners can also basically just use React and React Native to create all kinds of new experiences. That's really impressive. That's really cool. So in terms of, and I'm just going to open it up here to everybody, but like if I am, a mobile user in 2021 and I'm looking to buy something, what are the features? Like, obviously everyone's going to have a shopping cart, but what are the features that you absolutely must have in your app that people are expecting to complete that transaction? Or they're going to look at it and be like, maybe my experience is not what it could be if it's not there.
So for us in Mercado Libre, probably it's more like the right ecosystem and not talking specifically about the features. Remember, we are a LATAM company, and our context is completely different than other parts of the world. So when talking about the mobile shopping industry, for us, it's more like a complete tool set, an ecosystem that should include the e-commerce, payment methods, personal credits or loans, strong, really strong shipping capabilities and logistics in here, all combined in order to create a seamless journey that could provide a robust experience to our users. So basically for us is that like a more integrated approach of the complete experience than specific features, because features are going to work for us, right? Like for a certain amount of time, and the next year will be another one, and then another one. So we are working on building the basis, and that's how are we looking at.
That's really cool. So taking that holistic approach to the whole experience as opposed to being completely feature driven, that makes a lot of sense to me. So when you're talking about like creating like integrations that go like the whole thing and having a robust shipping system, what are some of the big challenges that you find that you have to solve in making that seamless experience?
a lot of challenges. For example, in the creating shipping capabilities here in LATAM are really difficult because of for example, our mail services are not as good as in other parts of the world. So we needed to create our own network of shipping and mail and delivery, right? So we are combining different approaches there. We needed to learn from scratch logistics, something that it's a world per se, right? It's really complicated. So that's something. As a context, we are in LATAM, we are like a couple of years behind on the technology side, right? Our standard devices, our standard phones are like less top of the line, like they have less amount of memory, less storage. So we need to work on improving the app size, the use of the network. So we need to focus on those specific things. And the public, right? The users, our users are not that tech savvy, right? They are not used to, here in LATAM, we weren't used to buy a pencil from Mercado Libre. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy a TV from Mercado Libre, maybe, right? We are used to go to the shopping mall and buy stuff there. So everything was a challenge in here last year, but we grow like, I don't know, in a year, what we should have grown in 5, right? So kind of that. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. Congratulations on your explosive growth. That is so phenomenal. That's absolutely awesome. I feel your pain when you talked about needing to build apps that work for people who are not tech savvy or people who are not necessarily on the newest devices. One of my previous jobs, I actually worked for a library system, and we were building out a mobile app for them. And a lot of our patrons were folks who were in low income communities. They didn't have a lot of money. So one of the things I realized very quickly is this thing needed to run really well on inexpensive Android phones. The cheap $50 prepaid phone that you get from Walmart, it needed to work on. And also, again, these folks weren't very tech savvy. So getting it to the point where they were able to use that. And I think as a whole, that's a good point for everyone, is just because someone doesn't have like an iPhone 13 or whatever, doesn't mean that they're not a potential customer. And performance monitoring and making sure that it runs well on everyone's devices is huge. Looks like we have a question that just came in. So I'm going to go ahead and read it here. And this is anyone in the group who has something to say, just feel free to chime in. This is from Justin. Thanks for the question, Justin. Overwhelming customers with a large number of products is a very real thing. What tactics or features would you use to improve their mobile shopping experience? And how do you see this changing in the next 5 years? I have an answer for this, but I want to hear from the group first.
I think that AI features, it's a good approach because recommended items, things like that, and one-click buy, two things that together is really powerful because I don't know, you have to enter. We're living in a world that's kind of faster and faster and faster, and want everything by the time. So with these two features, we have everything on my hand. As we save our address, save our payment method. So just look for the product, click buy, and the other day it's in your house. So it's fantastic. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, adding on that, I think that we're on social media a lot. So when you see something, you want to get it and you don't want to have to search for it. So if you see someone, I like that mug that you're using, can I click and purchase? So having connections with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and things like that is something that is being explored right now. And Shopify has some integrations like that. It even has integrations with Spotify, just to make the words confusing in there. So you can go and you're listening to a song and you dream like, oh, Taylor Swift, I want her hoodie. Can I get it? And yes, you can. You can go and get the hoodie from Taylor Swift straight from that app with your saved card from Shop app. So having those integrations is key for conversion of new customers in new platforms.
I'm ashamed to admit that I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Please.
I love Taylor Swift.
I love Taylor Swift.
Like my morning routine, I'll be in the living room. I got my headphones in. I'm dancing to Shake It Off. Anyway.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But yeah. So it's interesting that you mention those types of integrations and being able to connect people with products with where they're at. For us at EBTH, one of the things that we are spending a lot of time doing is again, investing in AI and data sciences to be able to connect people with products that they're going to really love. So what's interesting about us is we don't have a dedicated stock. We can't say we have, 500 extra large t-shirts that say Taylor Swift on them. And, one guy is going to buy them all and that guy's Matthew. But we have unique items and we have rare items and we have items that you can't find anywhere else. And we have items that are just really uncommon. I was walking through our warehouse one day and there was a dinosaur in there, not like an actual dinosaur. No, it was metal, but it was a metal dinosaur. And I'm like, I wonder how much that is. I kind of want to bid on it. So how do you connect people and say, hey, we got a metal dinosaur. Are you interested in this? And so that's something that we're spending a lot of time working on. And it's not even something that is a React Native thing or a website thing. It's spending a lot of time looking at our customers and trying to serve them better by saying, hey, here's this thing that we have that you might not know about that is kind of similar to other stuff that you've expressed interest in the past. And one of the ways that we do that is actually a feature, bringing it back to the features question in our app. People can express interest in an item by saying, I want to follow this item and, keep an eye on it. And it might be something that I want to buy. And when they hit it, we know, oh, okay, that's an indicator to us, even if they don't end up buying it, that's something that they're interested in. And then we can use that. And I wish I was a data sciences person. I'm not, but through some data sciences magic, they can figure out who wants a dinosaur out of that. And I have so much respect for the data sciences team because of that. No, that's really awesome. So one of the challenges that comes when building a shopping app, and Luciano, you mentioned this briefly when you were talking about that holistic integrated approach, and also Raphael, you mentioned payment methods as well. People got to pay for this somehow. People have to provide their credit card numbers, and this gets really complicated really quickly, particularly when you're dealing with international purchases, when you're dealing with different payment vendors. So I would just like hearing some general thoughts on like, what do you folks, how do you guys handle payments? Like, what are you guys doing with that? I can start. We use Stripe. Just gonna throw that out there.
In Perfect, we have nothing uncommon. It's that I think that's PayPal, credit cards, debit cards, nothing really special, I think. But it's because it's a luxury fashion, so we have really rich customers. It makes some things kind of easier sometimes.
In our case, Mercado Libre is not just one e-commerce. We are an ecosystem. We have different brands, and one of them is Mercado Pago. Mercado Pago is it's a payment method. It's a payment gateway. We, as I said before, we work like trying to have a complete ecosystem to simplify lives of our users. So we have digital wallets. We have credit cards of our own. We are facilitating access to loans or personal credits. And right now we are launching access to cryptocurrencies. So we are part of those providers in LATAM, and yeah, we don't use a third party there. So that's my answer.
My ears just perked up, and I'm going to ask this because I have a hunch that our audience is going to be interested. Tell us more about cryptocurrencies that you're accepting, because I know that that's a huge thing that a lot of people are looking at now. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, what cryptocurrencies do you accept? What challenges have you seen in implementing that process? Like, tell us about cryptocurrency, because I think that a lot of people are going to be curious about that. Okay,
so basically, right now we are just starting with that. We are not. This is just something that we launched in Brazil in a couple of things. So right now we are able to buy, hold, and sell cryptos in our app Mercado Pago, and we are testing buying and selling in our app Mercado Libre. This is something that we are working on, and we want to continue growing the next year, but that's the status right now.
That's fair. I think it's really
I don't want to
exciting.
say too much.
That's fair.
Yes,
that's fair.
We are working on that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Rafael and I are already looking at Mercado Pago and being like, oh God, what can we do? What can we do?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to push you guys too far into things that you can't talk about, but I am a huge fan of cryptocurrency as a whole. There's a number of folks at Bitrise who are interested in cryptocurrencies, and I believe it's definitely the future. Since we're on the topic of payments, we have another question, and so I'm going to read it, and anyone who wants to answer, feel free to jump in. This is from Giovanni. and they say, since you guys are talking about payments, when talking about an international product running on several countries, some of them have specific payment methods available or preferred by the users, even crypto. Do you have any experience to share about starting accepting these payments, and which are the most interesting challenges to overcome on this process?
Yeah. So one of the things that for Shopify is very important is because we have different verticals. So we have the final users who are buying something, we have the merchants, and we have the partners who create third-party applications for the merchants. And we have to listen to them and what they want to use. There is a partnership with Stripe as well, so we can accept more payment methods, credit card methods. And we have our own solution of payment with ShopPay. And ShopPay will allow you to use the same credit card, for example, in different platforms. So you're buying on Instagram with ShopPay, you're using the same credit card. But I think it's something that you have to pay attention to your customers and listen to what they are saying. So for example, our partners, they want to have direct access to their bank account instead of receiving through PayPal, for example. So it's something that it's going to be very local from place to place, and keeping that relationship with the customer very close is going to give you most of the answers that you need. But then it comes into legal and understanding where you need to change the rules. There's a lot of legal parts into every country. Yeah, I think
That's fair. And you bring up an interesting point that some people want to pay directly with their bank accounts. That's a challenge we have at EBTH, because some of our items, not all of them, I don't want to scare anyone from looking at the site, but some of our items go for tens and tens of thousands of dollars. When I say we sell rare stuff or unique stuff, we sell really rare and unique stuff. And and we even sell cars. So when it comes to that, it's like it's things that you can't buy a car off a credit card. You can't buy a car with a debit card. So at that point, one of our challenges is we have to set up ACH transfers to be able, so that people can connect their bank accounts directly to us and use that as a payment option as well. And I think that's a unique challenge that particularly like what you were describing, it depends on the items being sold and the type of marketplace that you're looking at, but it's definitely a challenge that I think a lot of us have to face. So yeah, so we kind of touched on this earlier, but one of the things that is huge right now is trying to be able to connect people with the specific items that are going to be of interest to them, and also optimizing the app for people's experiences so that it's as easy to use as possible. And for that, analytics are really useful. So I just kind of would like to know what people's thoughts are on like how you've implemented analytics, and if you have unique uses for analytics that you've used, as opposed to just showing the marketing department, hey, we had 50 people look at this one screen or whatever. I just pulled that out of my head. But like just analytics as a whole, I think is a huge thing, because it's more important than ever to make data-driven decision making.
Yeah, talk about analytics. I think that analytics it's good everywhere. we have to have it, and in every page, in every part of our code. It's a really valuable output about our customers, and with that we can make it an approach that makes sense for our app. In case of AI, preferred items, or features that we didn't imagine before, but all the customers looking for that. I think that's a good approach to know everything about your customers and let your app goes to what the customers want. That's the valuable output about it.
That makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things that you don't necessarily think about it up front. But what gets measured gets managed, and the more data that you have, the better decision making you can make. Yasmin, I'm going to hit you up with a direct question, and I apologize for this, but if I'm a Shopify customer, what type of analytics can I get from your platform, particularly because you mentioned that there's like a lot of third-party integrations that you can use. What type of analytics am I able to pull if I'm a Shopify store owner?
A lot. Period.
Okay, good. Question answered.
No, actually, you get a lot of information. So for a lot of reasons, we want merchants to be able to do smart decisions. So you can get information from your I was going to say the back end of your store. That doesn't even make sense. For the storage, so how many items you have left, how many items people were purchasing, what they are purchasing more, how much they pay for it, and if they enter your store, click on things and leave the cart. If you start accepting a new payment method, do they purchase it more because you're accepting that? If you insert a new feature like a 3D modeling of your handbag, for example, does it convert more people to purchasing and not leaving your shopping cart? So things like that. And on payments that we were just talking before, there is also this feature where you can have this Shopify account for your merchant, and you can split your finances from your personal account to your business account. So you can see how much you're spending with your business too. So it goes from understanding your customers to understanding your business and understanding your financials. So it's a combo. I think that's better than a lot, period.
Yeah, no, that answers a lot of questions. Like that gives some great examples of like how I could make data-driven decisions. Luciano, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you talked about creating that holistic experience. And obviously, I would think that a part of creating a holistic experience would be knowing where the pain points are and also knowing where your success points are. So I'm guessing you folks use a lot of analytics. Is there something you'd like to share with that?
We use a lot. So we have different approaches. So you were talking about the let's say client-facing analytics, but we have something similar to Shopify, but we also have the analytics for us, right? So what everyone is doing in our platform, which item, which button, which page, everything is being stored and used to help us having informed decisions, to take informed decisions on our products. We use a lot of experiments. We use a lot of A/B testings in our features. So that's something that it's like really particular for us. Like we do everything as an experiment, and we start like iterating on that. So we still work as a startup company, like trying, failing, trying again with a different thing, and if it works, we iterate it, we create a new thing, and we keep on growing. So basically, analytics is everything for us. Every decision is based on numbers in here.
I am so glad that you mentioned not just the customer facing side, but also like the back end side, because that's not necessarily the sexy thing. Everyone wants to talk about like product recommendations and things like that. But if you can improve things about your internal operations, that can make or break a business. So a great example at EBTH, if you walk through our warehouse, we have like a whole photography department. In that section, it feels like a rave because there's like flash bulbs going off all the time. It's like boom, boom, like. But one of the things that we looked at was like, because we take so many pictures, because like I think every item on our site has, don't quote me on this, I think it's like 6 or 7 pictures that we try to take. One of the things that we run into is like the speed that it takes, the time it takes our photographers to take pictures. And if we can optimize that process and make it better so that they can take more pictures, it allows us to get more items up on the site faster. And so that was one of the things that we looked at in the engineering department is, can we increase the number of pictures that are being taken? And we were successful in that. We found like some kinks in their workflow, and we were able to use our analytics, and we were able to say we were taking this many pictures per hour before, and now we're taking this many pictures per hour. And not that it's just like raw, because, you know, obviously you want to make sure that you're taking good pictures. You want to make sure that you're accurately representing the product to the buyer. But at the same time, if we can fix those inefficiencies, then that's a huge gain to the business, and a benefit to the folks that are selling products through us as well. So I want to talk a little bit about the release process, and specifically like the process of, you know, practices like code freeze, or, you know, your agile practices, or what you guys are doing to get releases out quickly. If you've got a bug in production for a released app, you know, suggestions on like what you would do to fix that. I'm just throwing out ideas here, but like part of it is absolutely, you know, getting things to prod. But, you know, once it's out in the ecosystem, once it's been approved by Apple and Google, then you've got a whole lot of other concerns there. And any thoughts on like those experiences and what that looks like for you?
Are you going to say something, Luciano? Because I don't want to interrupt. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm assuming everyone here is perfect. None of us have ever shipped a bug to production.
No bugs ever.
I personally, I have never shipped a bug to production. My code is perfect. You know, I've never made a mistake. I've never had an issue where if you opened up the item details screen, the entire app crashed. I've never done anything like that ever. So
yeah, I don't know. I cannot connect with that. No empathy. No, I think that code freeze, we just passed Black Friday and Cyber Monday right now. So it's a practice from companies. The bigger you get, the more solutions you have to create to avoid releasing any bugs to production, because the pain point is when they are out there. It's like when you accidentally create something on the wrong branch and you push, and then you have to revert your commit, and you're like force pushing to the branch, and other person already merged that, and you're like, oh no. So the same way that you work with other people inside the team, I think you can apply that in a higher resolution to production. So you have to create tests, you have to have a good CI pipeline that will get run any test that it needs to run, any
like Bitrise. Sorry, go ahead.
Insert here the moment for merchant. Yeah, so you have to have good, stable solutions that allow you to deploy your code with confidence that you're not doing anything wrong. But if you do something wrong, then you can have solutions of people on call, for example, on Black Friday. So you have people on call that know who to call from other teams to push a solution. And I think and I hope that with all the apps, Apple is a little bit nicer during those periods, just because if you have a bug, you need them to reveal things faster. So you count on their empathy as well.
No, for sure, for sure. And as you put it, the best thing is having systems in place to prevent the bugs from going out in the first place. I'm a huge believer in unit testing and integration testing, and having absolutely every pull request checked through a CI/CD system. And yes, shameless plug for Bitrise here. We actually use Bitrise at EBTH for our CI/CD, and we're very happy with it. So, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Bitrise alumni, and I have a lot of friends that still work at Bitrise. But so I guess moving on then, like I want to talk about like app performance. We touched on this earlier. You know, it needs to run on a cheap Android phone. But what are some things that you've used to try improving your app performance? And I know in our prep call, one of us has a very unique infrastructure, and I would like to hear more about that.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, regarding performance, one thing I would like to mention before the controversial topic is that we are doing a lot of things, right? So we don't have a team dedicated dedicated with the sole responsibility of providing solutions and tools that ensure the performance and speed of applications, right? So I have a lot of things to say on that, but I know what you're referring to, and I think Jasmine wants to know too. That we are using web views as a so we are not using React Native, we are not using Flutter, we are using web views. Why we are using web views? Web views is something we were working on for the last 5 years now. We've been iterating the process for a long time, and we think it's the right tool for us in this moment. And why? Because using React Native or Flutter, we would have to start from scratch in a lot of things. Our web stack, we have a really strong web stack that is React, Node, Express, and we've been building that for a lot of years. So that's why we are focusing right now in web views. Doesn't mean that in the next year or 2 years we're going to use other technologies, but it was something that we needed for like today. We are trying to focus on in a balance between quality and delivery time, right? We are a product company, so even though on the technology side maybe we want to test different things, we need to like balance this. Think about it, our last year, we growth like 5 years in one or maybe more. So we needed to be faster on delivery products. But the interesting thing is that we started this path saying that we will have a model and that model is the only web view is the one that doesn't feel like a web view, right? So we need to, we are creating web views that doesn't feel like you are in a web view. Of course, if you are a developer, you would probably know the reference, but we are working on simulating a lot of the transitions, a lot of the things that you could have in native, right? Native development. So we created something that we call a bridge. So from JavaScript, you could use a lot of native features, right? So we've been working mostly on that. And that's why. I don't know if I answered your question or
no,
Jasmine.
you did. So I'll be honest with you. The first time that you mentioned this, my mind just went like it completely blew my mind. But the more I thought about it, the more I saw some advantages to the approach. The first one is in my world, if we push out something that, you know, escapes all of our unit tests, escapes all of our integration tests, and we get a bug in production, we have to release an update, get it through the Apple approval process, and, you know, then be at the mercy of people to update their phones. In your world, if you're using web views and the bug is in the web view, you just update the web view, and that's immediately in production.
Exactly.
The second thing that would be an advantage to that approach that I thought was really interesting is I actually, before I got into mobile dev, was a web developer. And with progressive web apps, there are so many things that you can do now that give you, like you were saying, access to the native to the native hardware on the phones. And so you have access to a lot of things like, you know, an offline mode and, you know, things that people associate with native apps that you don't necessarily associate with web apps, but are also a possibility. So there's definitely value in that. I'm not sure I'm sold on that for a greenfield project, but but if you have an existing infrastructure like what you're talking about, I think that was yeah, go ahead.
That's exactly the point. We had everything working in place, and to start with React Native, for example, we needed to learn a new technology. We needed to create a lot of features to educate a lot of teams. So we have a company that is like 30,000 people here. We are like 10,000 developers, so we needed to change a lot. So that's why, and we are, as I said before, with the analytics part, we are testing, we are experimenting a lot. So building that product with native or whichever technology, it takes more time to hit the market and to iterate it. And with web views, we have those capabilities of moving fast, right? We can test, we can iterate, we can create a lot of things faster and hit the market even faster.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really insightful. It's not something that I would have necessarily thought about, but after you explained your rationale, it makes perfect sense. So we have about 9 minutes left. What I'm going to do is we had a few audience questions, but this is the moment. If you've had a question about anything we've discussed, or there's something you're hoping that we would discuss that we haven't yet, please drop it in the Q&A box so that we can hopefully get it here at the end during the wrap up. And while folks are furiously typing their questions into the Q&A box, I just want to give everyone an opportunity to share. If you are on social media, or there's some place where people can follow you to connect with you or learn more about you, please, by all means, share that now so that everyone can connect with you. For me, I am on Twitter. I don't post a lot on Twitter, but I try to be insightful when I do. I'm at Matthew Jones 517. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you, and I'm more active on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, absolutely. I would love to make that connection. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, why don't the rest of you share how folks can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I shared on the channel. I'm different persons everywhere. I have multi personalities. No, I just can't get the same name everywhere. So it's MIN Benacci and on Twitter, and Yasmin Benacci, the full name, on LinkedIn.
Mine, my LinkedIn on the chat. It's Luciano B.
Connect me with me on the LinkedIn and message if you want. It will be a pleasure to answer everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rafael. Thank you all three so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you. I know I personally have gained a lot of perspective and picked up some things that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about. And it's been a pleasure talking with all of you.
Oh, it was really nice. I wanted to hear about the web views. I got my share. I came just for that.
Yeah,
I'm really excited I'm really excited to test this approach with web views. I really want to test it. I'm curious, really.
Yeah, because going from iOS Swift development, you learn Flutter. It was the first one that got into my head. I'm like, oh, that's very nice. And then React Native, I'm like, yeah, that's cool too. And then web views, I'm like, oh, wow, I need to see that.
Yeah, that's it.
Just ping me if you need more information.
Yeah. I wanted to thank Bitrise, thank Rita for being so amazing. I really appreciate the invite and being here and talking to you.
If this is your first webinar of Bitrise, this is actually an ongoing series. So Bitrise periodically does webinars where they bring together really great minds from the industry to talk about various issues. So be sure you pay attention to that. And yeah, thank you all so much for coming. We'll go ahead and end it here, and have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.
Bye, Merry
you.
Christmas.
Bye-bye.